In this episode of Be Unmessable with the podcast, you are going to learn how to interrupt the voice in your head that's keeping you stuck. You know, that little voice that talks all the time and never shuts up. You might think that voice is you, but it isn't. And believing that it is one of the biggest mistakes that high achievers make. Because if you don't recognize that voice for what it is, like an outdated loop from the past, you're going to keep listening to it and reacting instead of creating. Brent Webb shares with us the exact steps to unlock from that voice so that you can actually take your vision off pause and start living from your power. Hey there, welcome to Be Unmessable with the podcast. I'm your host, Josselyne Herman-Saccio, and today my guest is Brent Webb. He's an acclaimed mind power expert and personal development leader. He's created seminars and training programs for Fortune 500 companies, including Google, Ford Motor Company, Nabisco, Hilton. He's worked with superstars like Joan Rivers, Shaka Khan, Dionne Warwick, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, and he teaches people how to understand the hidden abilities they possess to do more, be more, and have more in every area of their life that's important to them, from finances to relationships. He has used his own knowledge of human potential and the mind to beat anxiety, drinking, drugs, cancer, and create $1 million brand. So we are so excited to have multi-million dollar brand. That is a difference. So let's welcome Brent to the show. Welcome, Brent.
Hey, thanks. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking the time. And I'm fascinated to find out more about what you do, because when you say, that you help people have more, be more, and do more, that sounds exhausting to me. But I think that you have a hack that makes it a pleasure. So talk to us about how you use mind power and personal development to empower people to have all that.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about me. I started out as a little kid magician. I was an only child in Ohio, and I wanted to be a magician since I was 5 years old. So I would go to the library and take out magic books every week. One week, by a divine accident, there was a copy of The Magic of Believing that they put back on the wrong shelf. And I took it out, and it was all about the mind and the power of
Mm,
belief and that sort of thing. And it's really what kind of changed my path from that 10 years old, because I realized there's so much more than we ever really thought. So I've spent my career performing with celebrities, opening in Vegas, for other people, doing cruise ships, that sort of thing. But it's always been the mind. So I've taken the opportunity to go around the world and get paid to do it. But I've also, during that time, met thought leaders and religious leaders and, really honed this idea that we've got this amazing computer. Nobody knows how to use it, right? When you're born, you have this supercomputer, and it's like, you get a cell phone, a toaster, a microwave, anything you buy, there's a manual that tells you exactly how to
right.
use it, right? You get this thing, which is the most sophisticated super machine ever devised. And it's like, figure it
And
out.
untapped in terms of what people have access to.
Right. Not only untapped, but then you're going to ruin it by building this fake version of yourself, this psyche, what I like, what I don't like, all these things. And now you're living in this, that you've created this world inside your mind.
Constructed reality, yes.
It is. It's like
Yeah,
driving. You've been driving a car your whole life. You've never cleaned the windshield. So you're sitting in the driver's seat looking through layer after layer after layer of the past. And that's how we see reality, right? So I started combining my shows. So it wasn't just entertainment. I'm telling people, hey, these are the 3 things you can do tomorrow to, change your life and get control of your mind. So the last 15 years, 10 years has really been more about that, teaching people, look, you're not stuck. You've got this amazing machine. You just don't know how to use it. So it's easy. I mean, everybody tries to make it so difficult, and you have to do this, go to a meditate in a cave in India, and then go from this course to that course. And it's really, you've got a man-made ego, a psyche that you've created. And it's like, it's removing things. It's not what things you have to
yes.
add to yourself.
Untraining, that's what I always call it. It's like,
It,
how do we untrain you from what you've constructed as if it's real and it's completely unreal?
Yeah, exactly. And people just don't get it. Most people go through their entire life, like they're in a tunnel their whole life. They're born, they die. They don't realize there's anything else. They don't realize they have control. It's always someone else's fault. Or they look in the outer world for everything. It's like, when I get the car, I'll be happy. When I get the small butt, I'll be happy. When I get this guy, whatever. And you're always looking for happiness outside of yourself. So I just realized, wow, I have kind of a cool way of getting to people that a lot of people don't. Like a motivational speaker just talks. No matter how
Right.
great they are, after a while, it's just you're being preached to. With this, we do experiments, but it actually shows people what they're capable of doing. So I think that's and it's just been an exciting part of my career, because it's not just standing there getting, applaud me. Like if that's
Yeah.
what it was before, it's very hollow. This is like, when people are doing things that actually impact their life, it's just a completely different thing. So yeah, you have this machine, you don't know how to use it. We start from there. Wherever you are, wherever you're watching this from, and wherever you are in your journey, you can do this. It doesn't matter what color you are, what sex you are, anything. All that matters is you start becoming aware of what's going on. You've got a
Yeah.
voice talking up there. I call it the bitchy roommate. You can't get away from them. They're up there, narrating your life normally, negatively. And once you start becoming aware, awareness is a superpower, because you start to realize, wow, there's an old rusty tape running up there, and I need to start listening to see what's going on, because it's a tape you made when you were a kid, and now it's running your life as an adult. So it's like, it wasn't our fault when we were children, but now we're adults. So it is our responsibility. Start figuring out what is going on inside your mind, and it'll just change everything.
And what would you say, of the people that you work with, what's the biggest thing that messes with them and stops them from really acting on their vision, their dreams, and accomplishing what they want to accomplish?
I think the biggest thing with everyone, and I work with a lot of celebrities and athletes, and they have a really amazing way of laser focusing, like a Kobe Bryant or somebody. He has an ability to focus on what matters. And every time he releases something, during meditation or something else, he takes that power and he puts it where it matters. And so I've noticed that. But what is the same with everyone, it's the past is the thing
Yep.
that is blocking them the most, because what happens is anything that happened to you in your past colors your reality, just like we talked about. So if something, that voice is going to say, remember last time you tried that and you fell on your butt? Remember when you embarrassed yourself? That's what's going to happen. That voice, you have to look at it like not a villain so much, but you are pitted against it. It's not like you're not going to be your friend, because that voice is going to tell you anything it can to get its own way, right? So you have to kind of look at it like an adversarial kind of relationship. Okay, when the voice is talking, you have to start figuring out, because if you're living in your past, you're recreating the past over and over and over again. So there's no way to break out of that until you start putting you've got this record running. You got to change the grooves a little bit, so you're not just falling into the same grooves every time.
And what would you say, if people, people who are listening, what's something they could do, or one or two things that they could start doing today that would begin to interrupt those, basically brain patterns that keep us in that loop? What's a way that they can intervene and reroute?
Well, the easiest thing, and I always teach, like I do seminars on cruise, like I'm doing a cruise ship next week. I do the shows, but then I'm like, I want to do, the seminars as well. I just do a big free seminar. And I always teach the ABCs of mind power, the three things. But the first thing, the A, is awareness. So in order to get that awareness, the trick I like to teach, there's two things. First, name the voice in your head. So I named mine a long time ago, Carl. You can name it whatever you want. It does a couple of things. First of all, it takes the sting away when it's talking, because it's not the voice of God. It's not the voice of the future. It's just this old rusty program
It's
from
not
the
even
past.
you. It's
Right.
like, that's the most important thing.
And that's the other thing. If you realize the voice is talking, it can't be you, because
That's right.
you are realizing the voice is talking. So you name the voice, and what that does is it starts to take the sting away. So when the voice starts, now you look at the voice and you just go, oh, there goes Carl again. And you look at the voice like a small, petulant child who's not getting his way, who is bratty. And again, all the sting goes away from it, because it's no longer this booming voice that you have to pay attention to. So that starts to give you those interruptions. It starts to put a break in the tape. Okay. So that's the first thing. The next thing, as I say, get a Post-it note. 5-6 Post-it notes, right? And you're going to write the name of the voice. So whatever you name your voice, so Carl in my case, you write on the Post-it note, and then you put them around the house, the car, the office, wherever. And for a week, you're going to get a pad and a pen and just keep it on your person. Anytime you see the post-it note, it's to trigger. Okay, stop. What's on my mind right now? Because you'll know, because that tape is running in the background. Normally, it's 90% of the time just going on. If you stop, you're going to get the trail end of whatever's going on. You don't judge it. You don't get mad. You don't get sucked into it by any means. You just write it down. And if you do that for a week, and then you pull this notepad out and you read the messed up, unhelpful BS that is controlling you, it's laughable. And again, it's like anything you drag into the light, some big scary thing that you've been afraid of, and you drag it into the light, it just loses its power because it's nothing. So it's just two quick ways, like name the voice, write the name down, see the post-it note, anything you can do that's going to give you some time to put a little break in the tape. You've got this old rusty tape that runs when you're on autopilot 90% of the day. If you're doing anything that puts a break in the tape, and then next time something dramatic happens, it's almost like you have more time. You're in the zone. Things seem to go slower because you're now in control of this part of you that was kind of operating in the background.
Yeah, that's great. I do something similar with my clients where I have them put a post-it up that says, "Who's talking right now, it or
Oh,
you?" It's like
and
at
it's
any
always
given
it.
moment. Isn't it funny? It's amazing. And it has a lot of muscle. It's not that it's more powerful, but it has a lot more muscle because it's like any atrophied muscle. When you stop using it, when you're like 3 or 4 and you stop using that powerful you voice and start using this other, generated from incidents that happen and decisions we made about this isn't safe or I shouldn't do this or people are whatever, all that, the layers on the windshield, it gets crusty and it gets strong. So just like physical therapy, you've got to give that muscle a rest and exercise a new muscle, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, completely. And so tell me, I always ask this question on the show because, being unmessable with doesn't mean being tough and it doesn't mean not feeling your feelings, but it's about being able to stay on track with your vision and not get hooked, like you said, and not get, thrown into that automatic world and being able to intervene in the automatic world. So, what's a situation that you've been in your life? And I'll give you a chance to kind of look something that was so difficult, like a situation that could have taken you out, messed with you, but somehow you were able to transcend it and emerge inside of your vision, inside of your creation, rather than staying down for the count. What's something that you've dealt with that comes to mind?
Well, right at the top of my head, I mean, I've had cancer 20 years ago, lymphoma, but I, was drinking a bottle of vodka a day at one point, smoking, all of that stuff. Every one of those things are mindset things. It doesn't matter what it is, it's the way you're looking at it, it's the way you're dealing with it. It's a mindset issue. Even the cancer, if you look at it like, I was on the road, I had I had no family around or anything when I got diagnosed. It some people can take that and immediately, of course, you're afraid, but when somebody tells you and you get in that mindset, like when people say, oh, you're terminal, you have 6 weeks to live, it's very usual they die within that amount of time. I mean, as soon as you start believing that. So I just, everything I've come up against, I have realized over time, and it wasn't at the beginning, but like the first thing, when I was a kid, I was a big fan of that TV show Dallas. Remember that show?
I do.
Okay. Well, I mean,
JR.
it started when I was 4 years old. It ran until I was in high school. And I watched it my whole life. I mean, my mom started watching it. She stopped. I kept watching it, right? So my whole life, I thought, okay, being happy, you want to be rich, but you can be mean to people. You can be crooked. You can be dishonest, right? This guy was living, it looked like just an amazing life. He was doing whatever he wanted, getting everything, right? And so my whole thing for the first 15, 16, 20 years was money. I'm going to make money. I'm going to be happy. So when I did that, I went on the road, I made money and I got those things. And I realized that it was hollow, that there was everything I pinned happiness on was now, it completely fell apart. That was the first big thing that I had to realize this has been a mindset issue, but it took a while because
Yeah.
it really floored me because I had convinced myself, like we all do, you're convinced. And then when something happens that shows you you were wrong, it just knocked me to the ground. But I thought money's going to make me happy. So that was really the first issue. But every time I came up against an issue like that, I started to deal with it mindset wise and realize, look, it's the way I'm looking at this. It's the way, I can't let other people influence me, which is, people, friends and
Almost
family.
impossible, right?
Right. But friends and family are usually the worst. And not maybe with health, but with other, oh, now people like us can't do that. It's always stuff like that. So you have to almost Phyllis Diller, I worked with years ago when she was still, she's dead now, but this was back in, the late 90s. But she used to do this thing where she would put on psychically like a bulletproof feather cape kind of thing. And she would just do it. She would say to herself before she went in the room, I'm putting on mine. So no matter what anyone said to her, she didn't take it in at all. It went right off of the, like water off a duck's back. And little things like that, people laugh at, but your mind is so, you'll never understand how powerful your mind is. And little mind hacks and little mind tricks and little things you can do. They may sound stupid, naming the voice in your head, putting Post-it notes up, but you have to do something to start getting in control. You've had this monkey in your mind for your entire life, going crazy up there, throwing crap around and doing whatever it wants to do. And you've been on the side lying down to it. And just like you said, it's untrained. It's going to take some time. There's no magic pill. It's going to take some time for you to get in control of that. And it's going to take repetition. It's going to take little things,
And
little
discipline,
moves.
yeah, for sure.
Right. Right.
I'm with you. You're preaching to the choir. I'm right with you.
I think we're together on this.
I know. I have a feeling. Exactly. So, I know that you wanted to offer a meditation to the listener. So talk a little bit about what it is that we want to send them to.
Well, I think you can't get to where you want to be without some form of meditation. Whether, it's people, I chant, I'm a Buddhist, but it's not, you have to sit alone with yourself for 5, 10, 15 minutes. You have to connect to yourself. You've piled all this crap, like an episode of Hoarders, all the things you don't like, all the things you want to keep, all the crap inside you, and it's blocking you, like we said, through the windshield. So you have to sit and be able to connect to yourself. But meditation, people think it's either a new age thing or it goes against my religion, or it's one, this, that, the other. I can't meditate. I can't sit still. So I wanted to put together something that made it easy for no matter who you were or where you were starting, that it's not this big, scary thing. It's just you sitting there overseeing your thoughts and pulling your focus back. Because like you said, it's like a muscle that you don't use. When you keep building your focus in meditation, you're pulling your focus back. It's building that muscle. So I put together a course. It's just a mini course, but it's a meditation journal, instructions, a couple of videos. It teaches you, how to get control of your mind. It's really like a refuge, a sanctuary inside yourself. Because no matter where I go, and I'm all over the world, I do 40 minutes twice a day, and I don't care where I am. If I'm on an airplane, if I have to get up at 1 a.m., it's the one practice I never miss because of what it's done. Now, I miss chanting sometimes. I miss other things. And sometimes can't always be positive, we know, right? But the meditation, I think, is key. I think without it, you can't quite get there because you're never going to be, alone with yourself, making that connection. So the mini course I put together, it's at meditationminicourse.com. And like I said,
I'll put that in the show notes so everybody can click on it easily, for sure.
And it's free. You just download it and, wherever you are, and let us know how it works for you, because people, it's changing. It changes lives if you do it. It's one of those things, reading about it, hearing us talk about it isn't enough. You have to actually experience it, because there's no way to put into words what it'll do for you. And it'll do a lot of things in the background. You'll work through things that you won't even realize. You'll be crying and you won't even know what's going on sometimes, because your body, your energy, your spirit, it wants to get rid of these things. You're holding all this stuff inside. It's dying to get out. It wants to leave. So meditation will get rid of a lot of those things without going to a therapist, without dredging up your past. So meditation, I think, is key.
Yeah, it's like a detox in a way, but a spatial detox.
Yep.
Not a mental detox, but a spatial detox is how I'd like to look at it. And, for those people that hear you say 40 minutes every day and as they forget it, there's no way, I can't do it. Are there smaller starting steps where people can practice 5 minutes, 8 minutes, like that, so that they can gradually build up to a 40-minute kind of practice?
Yeah. You're never going to be able to sit down and do 40 minutes if you've never done it. And the only reason I said, again, that I do 40 minutes is because it's so beneficial. But I tell people to start with 5 and add a minute every other week or so. But if you can get up to 15 minutes twice a day, you'll get there. You don't have to do more. I do more because it seems like the more I do, the better things start to work for me. But that doesn't mean I'm going to sit 6 hours a day and meditate.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
So as long as if I do 20 and 20, if for some reason I can only do, that's fine. I mean, I'm not upset about it. But so start with 5. And I tell people the easiest way to start is you just count 1 to 20 over and over in your head, because I do a mantra I do transcendental meditation, other things too. But if you count to 1 to 20, it's perfect, because if you get to 50, you've gone too far, you go back to 1. If you start thinking about my butt is sore, what am I going to have for lunch? You go back to 1. You never try to figure out where you were so I know what number to go to. You don't try to figure out why you're thinking that. You just immediately, as soon as you realize you're not counting anymore or you've gone too far, you go back to 1. And again, it pulls your focus. And that over time is a superpower, because that repetition of pulling your focus back, you're expanding your consciousnness. You're connecting to something bigger than you. And I know it sounds all woo-hoo, but it's true. I mean, we're never going to quite understand how this all works, but you can take advantage of it to change your life if you just let it. If you don't try to label it, don't try to name it, just do this for yourself. Everybody can take 5-10 minutes a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Get up early, stay up a little later. It's fine, but it's for you. It's the one thing. If you fix yourself, everything else will start to change. You can't fix anyone else. You can't fix the world. You can't go out and try to fix these things until you fix yourself, until you work on yourself. Then people, they get inspired. They start to change. That's how we change the world. It's not by, I'm going to force you to change. And, it's got to be work on yourself. I think that's what everyone's missing. It's always they're looking, at everyone else for blame, also for whatever they want. They're looking for, love, success, all of those things too. And so it's like, it's just another good way to sit with yourself and make that connection and, know that you're bigger that you're part of something bigger.
And, everybody listening, you can take 5 minutes to transform your relationship to the world. I mean, 5 minutes is an easy bite-sized chunk, and, take it away from your scrolling activity on Instagram, even take it away from listening to a podcast, for instance, whatever it takes, so that you can begin to exercise this muscle and build what I would call the being unmessable with muscle. But I'm so happy to have met you and to have had you on the show. And anything else you want to just let people know before we sign off?
Well, I think that, like I said, the one thing you got to know is no matter where you are, no matter where you're watching this from, no matter how old you are, what you look like, what color you are, what your sexuality is, none of that matters. It's all this game, they pit everyone against everyone else. It's the way for domination. But you, wherever you're watching this from, can do this. I promise you, if you give yourself some time, and if anybody deserves another chance, we give second, third, fourth, 568th chances to everyone else. You deserve another chance. So give yourself another chance and really work on yourself. It'll change everything for you. You just got to give yourself some time.
That's beautiful. Well, we'll have all of that in the show notes so people can easily get to you, get to the meditation. And, for those of you listening, if you got value out of this, if something, you're leaving with an actionable tip that you can actually use and implement, just share the episode, rate it, review it, subscribe if you haven't. But for sure, share it with anybody that you think this will make a difference with. And I can't think of anybody that it wouldn't. So share away, and we will see you on the next episode of Be Unmessable with the podcast.
So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, this all sounds great, but where do I even start? This is it. This is where you start. It isn't about overhauling your whole life and making these drastic changes overnight. It's about those small, consistent, intentional, designed interruptions to the noise that's in your head, whether it's naming that little voice or putting up Post-its or sitting with yourself for 5 minutes of quiet each day. Those are all micro moves that can build your unmessable with muscle. And if you're ready to take that to the next step, I've got something to help you get started. Just download my free guide, The 5 Daily Practices to Being Unmessable With. It is a simple checklist. It's actionable, but don't let that fool you. It is powerful. And if you're like most of the people that I work with, it's exactly what you didn't know you needed. I can't tell you how many people have told me this is like their cliff note for the day. So grab it now, and I'll see you in the next episode where we dive even deeper into what it means to live a vision-driven life.